On October 19th, 2025, four men pulled up beside the Louvre. It was broad daylight. The museum was already open, and thousands of people were beginning just another Sunday in Paris. The men had no guns, no underground tunnels, and no team of elite hackers waiting somewhere behind a computer. They had a stolen lift truck, power tools, and clothing that made them look like everyday workers. Less than 8 minutes later, 8 pieces of the French crown jewels were gone. Jewelry once associated with queens and empresses, pieces that had survived wars, revolutions, and generations of French history. But the strangest part of the Louvre heist isn't how much they stole, it's how little they had to overcome to steal it. The Louvre is the most visited museum in the entire world. Its collections include some of the most recognizable objects on the whole planet. The Mona Lisa, the Venus de Milo, ancient Egyptian artifacts, but the thieves were not interested in a painting. A painting is way too large, recognizable, and almost impossible to openly sell once the entire world realizes that it is missing. Instead, they targeted the Galerie d'Apollon, the Apollo Gallery. The room itself is covered in gold decoration, paintings, and elaborate ceilings. And today it houses the French crown jewels and the Louvre's royal collection of hard stone vessels. Inside the display cases were tiaras, necklaces, earrings, and brooches, all connected to some of the most powerful women in French history. Queen Marie Emilie, Queen Hortense, Empress Marie-Louise, and the list goes on and on. The jewels weren't valuable just because they contained diamonds, emeralds, and sapphires. They were valuable because of their history, and the thieves knew exactly where to find them. 9 days before the robbery, they started getting all the equipment that they needed. According to prosecutors, a lift truck fitted with a basket lift was taken under false pretext. Furniture lifts like this are not especially uncommon in Paris. They're used to move furniture into buildings with narrow staircases that can make the job difficult. And on October 19th, the thieves would drive this directly to one of the most famous buildings on Earth. At 9 in the morning, the Louvre would open. Around half an hour later, 4 men arrived on the Seine-facing side of the museum. They had 2 scooters and a lift truck. The men would wear high visibility clothing. Traffic cones were placed around the vehicle, and from a distance, the entire thing looked like there could have just been work carried out on the building. 2 men stayed below. The other 2 would use the lift to rise toward a balcony connected to the Apollo Gallery. At approximately 9:34, the 2 masked thieves would enter through a window. Using a disc cutter, they would force their way inside. An alarm was triggered, and museum staff would alert the security control room. The Louvre knew somebody had broken in. But the thieves, they were already moving. They approached 2 different display cases, and using the same cutting tools, they began to break through. The thieves were unarmed, but prosecutors said they threatened the guards with the ankle grinders. Museum staff would begin to move visitors away from the gallery. Police were being alerted, doors were being ordered closed, but inside the Apollo Gallery, the thieves were already grabbing the jewels. Part of a sapphire set associated with Queen Marie Emilie and Queen Hortense, a diadem, a necklace, and a single earring, an emerald necklace and earrings associated with Empress Marie-Louise, and pieces belonging to Empress Eugenie, a brooch, a large diamond bow, and a tiara. They also took Empress Eugenie's imperial crown, decorated with more than 1,300 diamonds. The robbery was happening so quickly that every few seconds mattered. At 9:36, a special alert connected directly to Paris Police Headquarters would activate. At 9:37, museum staff were ordered to close and lock all of their doors. And at approximately 9:38, the thieves were already beginning to leave the building. They would climb back through the window, return to the lift, and descend back down toward the streets of Paris.
Merci.
Les individus sont en scooter, ils vont quitter.
The other 2 members of the crew were there waiting, and within minutes, all 4 men were escaping on scooters. From arrival to escape, the entire operation took less than 8 minutes. One of the men reportedly attempted to set the lift truck on fire. Luckily, the security staff was able to stop him. And then, they were gone. 4 men had just robbed the most visited museum on the planet, which left France with one extremely embarrassing question. How? At first glance, the robbery looked almost impossible. It was the Louvre, a museum containing billions of dollars worth of art and objects that could never truly be replaced. And yet, 4 men had apparently parked a truck beside the building, cut through a window, and escaped. The Louvre did have alarms, and those alarms worked. Staff responded, visitors were moved away, and police were alerted. The problem was speed. 4 men arrived to the most visited building on Earth, stole jewels valued at 88 million euros, and escaped before the building around them could react fast enough. The police may have found the thieves, but the Louvre is still waiting for the jewels.